Welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Nimsh, and I'm joined here by my co-host, Monk, at HTC Invitational, and we are going to see a Cloud9 versus Cloud9 match. Monk, what are we going to see?
We're going to see, unfortunately, not Nimsh versus anyone, but it's going to be Strifecro versus TidesofTime. Probably like two players that last year they regarded as the best players of the time, but these days it's more of like TidesofTime. He's gotten a lot better lately, but he's kind of fallen off when he took kind of a break from Hearthstone. Strifecro, meanwhile, he did really well at the beginning of GVG, but yet again, he hasn't had really great results. He has done, I believe, gotten number 3 in the Kingwin Pro League, but besides that, he's kind of fallen off in the first round of every tournament. That being said, it's actually kind of a clash of styles in the next match because TidesofTime is bringing completely wacky decks that no one has ever seen, while Strifecro is bringing the 3 most popular decks of the tournament: Hybrid Hunter, Grim Patron Warrior, and Handlock.
Yeah, so we are going to see 6 decks, and now you can see the bracket and how those players got here. So TidesofTime won versus LA, then won versus RDU, and it's going to face Strifecro, who won versus Dog, and then won versus Trump. A very nail-biting match, coming down to the last top deck in a rage, enabling Strifecro to finish Trump in a best-of-5 series. I'm super excited about this match, but Monk, I also want to give a shout out to Trump. You know, we are doing this tournament on Trump's channel. He played, yesterday he won. Today, unfortunately, he lost versus Strifecro in a very close match. But now Strifecro is having Trump's hopes on his shoulders and is going to face versus TidesofTime. So, yeah, this was a pretty exciting tournament so far. And we are going to have that one match. And then the winner is going to face Forsen in the final. I said that first. Forsen in the final. Final send. Just waiting for one of those Cloud9 players.
Yeah, he's definitely evolved beyond the RO4 that he's typically gotten in tournaments. It's not too fair, I would say. He's gotten 4-0 in tournaments before. For example, the Gfinity Spring Masters #1 tournament, where he just wrecked the group stage, but unfortunately, he kind of fell short. Now he's moving on to the finals against one of our next players, TidesofTime and Strifecro.
All right. So we talked about the decks. Like TidesofTime is bringing those walkie decks with Volcanic Drakes and Murlocs, and the Strifecro is bringing the Cookie Cutters. Who do you think has an edge? Like, which lineup is better? Is there any specific deck that can win at all versus the lineup?
I mean, with such unfamiliar decks like the ones that TidesofTime is running, it's going to be anyone's guess. But I would say that overall, it's TidesofTime's lineup that's more volatile, especially the Murloc Warlock, because that deck, it can just win so many matches. It can easily take a win, but at the same time, it can easily go 0-3 because of the inconsistency of Murlocs.
All right, this is it. This is the moment. TidesofTime versus Strifecro. Game number 1 is starting. Warlock versus Warrior. What can we say about those hands?
Well, at least the Twilight Drake is a pretty good opening for Strifecro, but he's definitely going to be looking to fill his hand up with more threats like Mountain Giants and Twilight Drakes. Meanwhile, from TidesofTime, he has Executes, he has Shield Slams, so at least some answers. But at the same time, it actually has Acolyte of Pain again, which is one of the key cards in this matchup.
Yeah, we talked about this matchup, and it's mostly favoring Handlock with those big minions. Strifecro already has double Twilight Drake, and TidesofTime has the Execute and Shield Slam to maybe try to counter them. But overall, Handlock is favored because it's pumping so many big minions. Strifecro even has Dr. Boom. He only needs those Mountain Giants to get them somewhere along the way. One of the key cards being Brawl, but then Tides is having Revenge as well.
Oh my god. He's actually using Revenge, and you know what? It's not any worse than an Armor Smith, or rather a Whirlwind in this instance. Exactly. Maybe like he gains 2 less armor, but I think he's still okay with it.
Yeah, that's right. That was impressive. And he has second Revenge as well. He's having, he's normally playing Blackwing Corruptors. He's having Chromagus. And, you know, Cardra is so important in this matchup. So maybe Chromagus will be a key card. Also, Ysera. We've seen Ysera before being amazing and winning the game with Ysera Awakens. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen. Dragon Warrior by TidesofTime versus dragons from Strifecro.
Yeah, we've seen before that, dragons, or rather, Handlock typically is slightly favored against Warrior, but with this new dragon archetype, it really changed.
Made to fit.
Yeah, it changes how you think about the matchup. So right now we are going to see another revenge into Shield Slam. That's a lot of armor for Tides of Time. He gets Corruptor as well, and he already has the Ysera, so all the Corruptors will work here. I think Monk got sapped again, but we are working on it to bring him back. So here, Tides of Time just pressuring with those small minions. Also getting a lot of value from that Acolyte of Pain. There is a Mountain Giant, though. Mountain Giant can get countered by the Shield Slam. So using Murloc on that Acolyte of Pain, giving him more armor to Tides. And Strifecro will be disappointed that Tides, again, has ways to deal with that Mountain Giant in form of a Shield Slam. Volcanic Drake. It might look funny, but Volcanic Drake is another minion that's actually pretty good. It has 6 attack, and it needs to be dealt with. And Strifecro, I believe, is running maybe 1 Siphon Soul. Monk, do you remember Siphon Soul from Strifecro?
No, I believe he definitely doesn't run Siphon Souls because in all of his previous lists of Handlock, he's actually cut them all out. So it really doesn't make sense for him to move them back into his deck without any huge metagame changes. This Volcanic Drake is actually very interesting. It's at a key 4 points of health, which means that Hellfire won't be able to kill it off. An Ancient Watcher plus Shadow Flame would be able to deal with it, but you actually don't want to use a Shadow Flame on this kind of like measly board, I guess.
Not to mention there is no Ancient Watcher. Is there a Shadow Flame though? Yeah, Shadow Flame there is. So Torison, and there is 8 points of damage coming from Tides of Time. There's double Moltens. So 8 points of damage plus Death Spite, that's 12. Corruptor is not going to finish it. And also, just going all in here will be very dangerous because there's a possibility of a heal blood as well. So Tides of Time might just go for the clear. Clearing Torison with the Corruptor.
The problem with the Corruptor is that I guess it invests more onto the field. And also, it's still kind of awkward for you to just clear with that because you have to sacrifice both your Armor Smiths in. So this doesn't commit as much, and you're less weak to AoE, and you still have a very threatening Volcanic Drake that will just be able to contest anything that your opponent plays, pretty much.
Wow, another Giant. So Tides of Time dealt with double Twilight Drake, with 1 Mountain Giant, and Dr. Boom. Right, Dr. Boom was not played. There is another Mountain Giant coming for Strifecro, so he's getting all the threats, all the powerful cards that are troublesome for Warrior. He has to account for Grommash, though. If there is Grommash in hand, that's 14 points of damage coming out from Death Spite and Grommash itself.
Exactly. So I would have to say that you would probably want to throw up at least a few taunts. You can also actually clear this board with Hellfire Dark Bomb, even though it's maybe not too efficient. But, with the buff of Emperor Thorazane, it's still enough.
So do you go for an 8-8? Like, if you don't taunt, you're dead to Grommash. So you have to do something here.
Yeah, I think generally in this matchup, you really want to use your Sun Fury Protector to taunt up 2 things. But again, if you're being greedy, the problem is if you play just the Sludge Belcher, then it just gets a free trade in. Your opponent gets a free trade in with the Death Spite.
By the way, this board is great for Tides of Time if you have a Brawl. So Strifecro at this moment says, hey, you don't have a Brawl. Because if you have a Brawl, I'm dead. Corruptor into the 8-2.
Seems pretty decent value from the Corruptor. But then what, right? if you can deal with one of the giants, but the other giant is just looming at you, and Tides of Time, he might even have to attack this giant twice in order to deal with it, which is certainly unfortunate. Yeah, he's going to set up for attacking the giant twice, so he's going to commit to taking about 24 damage from this one giant alone.
Is there any merit into attacking the 8-2 giant with the weapon and then coining out the Serra?
I guess there could be. It's just so much damage, though.
He still had to attack into the giant anyway. Alright, so this is what we talked about before. Tides of Time is running out of cards. Even though he was able to get Strifecro to 12 points of damage and deal with both Twilight Drakes, Mountain Giant, one Molten Giant, and second Molten Giant is going to die here easily as well. There's still Dr. Boom, Mountain Giant, and lots of cards for Strifecro. And Tides is only left with three cards that are not that great.
Well, at least he has the Asura, so that can definitely get him back into the game. But yeah, like you said, the Volcanic Drake, it didn't do too much. It was kind of annoying for Strifecro to deal with, but overall, it wasn't as huge value of a minion as Tides of Time would have liked.
Absolutely. So here, Strifecro can basically protect that the giant. I mean, deal 8 damage to face, and
I put up another taunt. He needs to set up these taunts. The only way he can really die is with some combination of a whirlwind effect or an enrage effect plus the ground.
Yep, that's true. There is a brawl. Oh man, one turn too late. If he would get that before, that would be an amazing brawl. But here, he just has to face tank the giant again.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Sarah can actually be quite difficult for Strifecro to deal with, and Strifecro might just have to try to bypass the Asura and try to finish Tides of Time off before he can get enough value from the Asura.
Tides decides to go for Emperor Torison though. Just get the possibility of a lower Sludge Belcher and Brawl. Maybe he feels he still has time. And playing this Serra might be too risky because of a possible Siphon Soul. Do you think he's playing around that?
Yeah, I think he's looking at his hand, he's saying that I need a good brawl in order to win this game, and I don't really want to brawl my Asera, so maybe this is the best course of action.
Also, there's a card that's more likely than the Siphon Soul. The card that's more likely is Iron Beak Owl. We haven't seen any of them, and there's normally 2 in most of the Handlock decks. With so many cards in hand, Tides of Time might be thinking, hey, if there's Iron Beak Owl, I'm getting 1 card from Misera, and then it's like just a vanilla card before attack.
Strifecro is saying, I guess he needs to go Jiraxxus here to heal up slightly because he doesn't really have too many heals, and I guess he needs to find some way to win pretty soon if Tides of Time does play that Ysera, and Infernal certainly is a good way to do it, especially after both Moltens have been played.
That's true. But then there is that Brawl, so here with Ysera, there's still no good way to deal with her. And Tides of Time is going to get a Dream card.
Yeah, if it pretty much has to be Ysera Awakens because everything else Strifecro can deal with fairly effectively.
Well, he can still try to get Ysera Awakens next turn if he's not forced to brawl. Ysera Awakens would be so good though.
Strifecro can actually clear this Ysera, but it just might be too much. He can play the Mountain Giant, Shadow Flame it, and then run his Slime into it, run his Hero into it.
Decent. Might be the play though, you know, just
And I think it's way too awkward.
Yeah, he also can just set up a ton of a wall of taunts, and you know, and Just spending the last Mountain Giant. You do have Jaraxxus. You will have an ability to put a 6/6 every turn.
So this is the point where I think you might just have to brawl, hope that Ysera wins, and that's pretty much the only way you can win the game.
Oh, there is a Raptor. That's actually working because of the Drake. Time to YOLO. Is there anything else that you can draw into? I think double Shield Slam was used. He used most of the removal early to deal with Twilight Drakes and Mountain Giants.
I wield the power of Black Wing.
Well, at least that's one way to deal with an Infernal. Pretty interesting too that the Drake being a dragon actually makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And he can also play the Belcher instead of yellowing your Bro. So is he going to attack it at a 7/4? Attacking the 7/4, get that Whirlwind effect, get down to... Okay, decides to Shield Slam.
It's not useful though.
He has 16. Oh, he's going to clear it with Sarah first. That makes sense, yeah. Saving life, just in case of Hellfire and some shenanigans.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a winning play though, because he definitely has to rely on Sarah to win, but I guess after you get a Sarah Awakens, that's pretty good play. That's pretty much the two best stream cards that you can get. And if Tides of Time, he can get something like a Sarah Awakens into Grom, it can be his ticket to win the game, especially with a huge Whirlwind effect that can deal with taunted up Infernals and this 5/6 Ancient Watcher.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you have to mind your health as well, because if you want to use Sarah Awakens, you at least have to have 6 points of health so that you're not dead. And if you want to attack with your weapon to get the Whirlwind effect, this also means that you will not be able to attack a minion if you don't have enough health. Alright, so Shadow Flame here. Ysera is getting cleared. There is a new Infernal.
Just putting more damage onto the field.
Oh,
And,
wow.
whoa.
Look at that card. Tides just snapped blade at Harrison. Just cutting the hands of Jaraxxus. There is Nefarian. And there is an Execute still. So this game is not over.
Oh man. The thing is, you know what? Jaraxxus is on the field, so I think what may happen is going into the next turn, it might just come down to Nefarian being played, and if he can get a Sacrificial Pact from Nefarian, Tides will just sweep the game away.
Wow, that's actually true. It can happen. Sacrificial Pact in a competitive play. But he needs to have room for that Nefarian. He will need to be in a situation where he can play Nefarian without dying next turn. Alright. Strifecro having Sylvanas, but no Shadow Flame.
Yeah,
if you silence Belcher, how much damage do you deal? 8.
Yeah, exactly 8 damage.
There's 13. But then you have to be afraid of dying, right? So with so many cards in your in opposing hands, what's the actual line of play? Like, what do you do, Monk?
Well, I think you have to try to win as soon as possible. So I would try to set up lethal in either 1 or 2 turns, and I guess silencing the Sludge Belcher does help you do that. Does help you get that extra damage in, especially because there's not many silence targets in the Warrior deck besides the Ysera and besides the Sylvanas, neither of which are immediately helpful.
What do you think about playing Dr. Boom and silencing Belcher going for face? You deal 8 damage, you leave your opponent at 5. So bombs are threatening lethal. And you do have a big board.
Yeah,
I mean, this is fine as well, probably. Just keeping that silence for next turn.
When I've talked to Strifecro before about Handlock, he's always told me that pretty much every turn you want to play an Infernal. So I think he's going along with that philosophy.
By the way, there is a Sylvanas top deck, so Sylvanas Brawl is pretty strong.
Oh man.
That might be the play. Or the just brawl?
Yeah, I guess you're not too worried about whatever comes out since you have an execute already, with Death Spite and in your hand or equipped already. And it's gonna be that's probably actually the worst one to come out of that.
And 8 damage to face. That if Strifecro would silence the Belcher and attack for face, that was threatening lethal. Tides of Time would be dead. -3.
Yeah, quite unfortunate for Tides of Time that happened. So I think he actually has the Shield Maiden now, or he just dies to a whole host of things. Any direct damage would plus the silence would kill him.
He has seen a lot of things already.
Oh, Senjin. I didn't even notice that card was in his hand.
This is a Senjin Dragon Warrior monk. How could you miss that?
Exactly. So this just maximizes the armor he can get over the course of a few turns.
Oh wow!
Double silence.
Wait, is that it? No, it's not. But he can silence Senjin and he can silence the Ancient Watcher to attack with it. So he can deal 4 points of damage. Wow, this is so close.
Yeah, I think the problem is I don't think he wants to silence his own Ancient Watcher because it's his last line of defense.
Yeah.
He has to rely on his opponent not being able to break it and not being able to deal 15 damage directly.
Yeah, but the fact that he can actually silence both minions and attack is crazy because if Tides of Time would be on like 3 points of damage or something like that, you know, after the attack, wow. This game, anybody can win this game still, I believe. But I think Tides of Time has an advantage here.
Yeah, almost certainly. The one thing going for Strifecro is that he's seen his opponent's brawl, so he can try to not play around brawl in the future turns.
All right, what do you do?
It's actually kind of actually awkward for Tides of Time because he has an execute, but he only has one execute.
And he wants to execute 3 targets.
Exactly. So he either has to play the Shield Maiden in his hand this turn, or go for kind of a YOLO play in the form of either Ysera Awakens or Nefarian.
The fun fact that Sylvana's play also stopped Ysera Awakens' Gramash kill because Tides would not be able to. Or wait, he still would be able to. So he would just attack. Yeah, Gramash was still lethal. But I don't know if the Tides is playing Gramash at this point with so many dragons. He might not be running Gramash here. Ysera Awakens, getting down to 2 points of health. And putting himself back up. So Strifecro is running out of threats. Is there any specific card for Strifecro that he can play to win here? 9 health. Even Ragnaros is outside of range. Is Strifecro dead?
He doesn't see it from his perspective, but yeah, he's dead. Just Strifecro has to assume that his opponent has weapons in his hand, and there's no way he can kind of play around that.
He can heal himself, go to 9, and then...
that's actually, one off from what Tides can do.
Tides of Time will be 1 damage of lethal. But then, if there is nothing really threatening... I guess the 6/6 is always threatening, so... what is game? Like, what is happening? He used double Death's Bite. He needs... he used double Taskmaster. Is there anything in TidesofTime's deck? Blackwing Corruptor, I think, was used twice.
Yeah, he needs the Grom, basically. Or, basically just the Grom. And, yeah, Strifecro, I think, at this point, he needs to load the board, hope his opponent doesn't have anything. Magus is not a draw.
Wow, so what do you do? Is he in trouble? Like, is it the Nefarian turn? And try to get something to buff. Because if he gets a Soulfire, he wins. Oh man, he's going for Nefarian.
He needs Soulfire, Power Overwhelming, or Sacrificial Pact.
Yes,
It's
3
very
cards.
likely. I think this is the only option. It's gonna come down to Nefarian. A competitive game being decided on Nefarian.
He's actually not dead. Like, if he goes for Nefarian, he can trade. If he doesn't get the kill card, he can still kill the 3/3 and he's still not dead. But Nefarian can decide the game right now at this very moment.
It's Implosion
Missed.
and Bane of Doom, I believe.
He missed.
Oh my god.
But
It
was possible to win just right there using Warlock cards against the Warlock. There is a Faceless. It's not doing
such
much.
a back and forth game.
There is BGH though. Wow.
Yeah, you can BGH Faceless and Hero Power here, which sets up an amazing board. And it just forces your opponent to kill him on the next turn.
Yeah, this actually puts Strifecro back in the saddle, and now Tides of Time is facing this awkward board with dragons and owls. A single Farseer.
Oh my.
And Infernal.
The
Is there
thing
anything?
is, like, yeah, even if Grom comes on the field, there's no way to activate it.
Yep, that's true. He needs Deathwing. He gets a BGH, but no Brawl, Bane of Doom. What can he even get? Doomguard.
Gaddis isn't even enough. I guess that's just it.
Yeah, that's it. They were so close. Such a nail-biter match. Tides of Time attacking that Infernal. Wow. Just wow, Monk. What just happened?
So we can see, we saw through like Tides of Time's entire deck, except for one card. So either Grom was at the very last card, or he actually is running a Control Warrior without Grom.
Yeah, it's possible. Well, because he has all those dragons like Chromagus and, you know, Revenge, Corruptors, Nefarian. So Strifecro is going to win. I can't really believe what had just happened, but Strifecro is going to win game number 1 versus Tides of Time and lock his Handlock. We are still going to see more warrior action from Tides playing that warrior. I'm amazed.
Yeah. I definitely think it'll be able to somehow later down in the line be able to get a win. Revenge is actually a good card, not just as for the 1 damage whirlwind effect, but against Hunter, for example. And it can very often get the full whirlwind effect. And it's going to be pretty interesting to see if Strifecro actually does play around Revenge. For example, like you play around Molten Giant, you try to keep the warrior at above 12 health.
I might guess that the last card was second Volcanic Drake. But he might be playing one of. Because we've seen only one, I believe. Alright, so here, game number 2, Tides of Time versus Strifecro. Strifecro winning the game number 1, Hunter versus Warrior. We're going to update the score in just a moment. What do you think about those hands? So Strifecro is running the midrange Hunter we've seen before versus Tides of Time, Dragon Warrior. Tides of Time is laughing right now.
What's so funny is that he has Fiery War Axe, I guess. He sees his opponent's Life Juggler. He's like, yeah, I have the perfect response to that. But what's not funny is he has maybe too many weapons, and it's very possible that from Strifecro's mid-range minions that, like, even though Tides of Time will be able to deal with them for the weapons, he'll take too much damage.
Oh yeah, that's true. And Fire War Axe is one of the best cards you can get here. Also having that Harrison and Brawl, you know, those are great cards. Those are definitely the cards you want to have versus Hunter. But then again, Strifecro has a really good hand as well. Animal Companion into Pilot Shredder. Even Juggler versus Coin Juggler into the Haunted Creeper. It's a great start.
Wow. Pretty heads up play there. He kind of realizes that most likely he'll play the Death Bite on turn 4. So I guess why not just do 3 extra damage to your opponent's face? And oh my god. That's probably the only scenario where he probably wouldn't play the Death Bite, and it's actually better for him to just set up the Death Bite. But actually, this is still fine because he drew into the Acolyte of Pain on turn 5.
Yep, so he'll have powerful turn 5, killing the Haunted Creeper. Or do we go for Piloted Shredder. Oh, there's a execute. Wow. So you can basically go for 100 Creeper and execute the Shredder afterwards, drawing a card from the Acolyte of Pain. We don't see any high mains from Strifecro. He still has 2 turns to draw into one.
Yeah, even though Strifecro has just been curving out really well and everything's going really well for him, the problem is like the remaining cards he has in his hand just aren't that valuable. To double Unleash the Hound is exactly what you don't want against Hunter, who most likely they'll only have 1 minion on the board at any given time.
Alright, so here do you silence, do you deny draw? I think you do deny the draw. You might even want to kill the 1-2 with a 2-2. And then you play Mad Scientist. We've seen one Death Bite already. Okay, so Strifecro is sitting at the board, denying the draw there. It's so funny because Tides of Time has a standard control warrior. So somebody is tuning right now to see what is going on in here. This is not the deck you are looking for. He actually has a lot of dragons hidden in his deck. Chromagus, yeah. Nefarian.
Yeah, he has some hidden dragons, but not yet any Crouching Tigers yet.
Crouching Death's Bites. Okay, so Death's Bite is pretty good here.
It is, but like we said before, he's getting rid of the threats, but all these threats have death rattles and they'll have effects later on. In addition, he's just taking way too much damage from the threats, and wow, even with a kill command here. So is it just time to, I guess just Arcane Golem?
Hero power?
Yeah, hero power, and then you have the Houndmaster, or rather the Unleash the Hound to activate the kill command.
Yeah, that's true. That's a lot of bursts coming from Strifecro, putting Tides on 8 points of health. No respect for Molten Giants. Volcanic Drake is not going to do much. The secret is Freezing Trap, right?
Yeah, it's always going to be Freezing Trap in this deck. So I think the Volcanic Drake actually might be okay, because it at least gives him a minion to play to proc the Freezing Trap. That's better than nothing.
He still needs to shield some the 4-1.
Yeah, and I think he has to decide whether he has enough life to actually just armor up instead of shield blocking. The other benefit of shield blocking is that you have a higher chance into drawing some of your answers, like perhaps an Alexstrasza on turn 9.
So if he just uses armor up right now, he's not dead to what's happening. He's not dead to dogs with kill command because it will be turn 7. But what is he dead to? He'll have 10 health. So he won't be dead to anything. But Shieldbreaker is granting the card at least.
Even I guess Huffer into kill command isn't enough. Wow, look at that! What a pretty good card there. It's kind of like a Hellfire that doesn't deal damage to heroes for 2 mana.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, Strifecro will be able to use the dogs now. There is a minion board. Oh wow, Eagle Hornbow.
Oh my god. That's even better.
But there is a Hearthstone Jones. Still. Even with Hearthstone Jones, Tides of Time is getting really low. Do you unleash once? I think you don't have to. Like, hero power is doing more damage.
Yeah, exactly. But I guess he does go for the unleash. I wonder if this sets up lethal in any given way. So he does 4 damage to his points. With 9 damage, with 9 HP.
What this is doing is that the dog is going to survive because of freezing traps. The dog is still doing the same amount of damage, and you do have a beast on board. So you are more flexible with regards to kill commands dealing 5 damage, and not being forced to play Unleash.
It's also more flexible if you draw into your quick shot, for example.
Yeah.
Fortunately, both these cards are sort of dead draws, especially the Nefarian. 100 cards tend to be aggressive, and there's no spells that you can get off of Nefarian that would really help you in this situation.
Wow, Glyph Zuka is interesting here. You can deal 4 points of damage with Unleash the Hounds, Glyph Bazooka. 6 with the Hero Power. Or maybe you can just go for Glyph Bazooka, Hero Power, deal 4. Put them at 7. They will armor up. Tides of Time will armor up to 9. And then you will have 5, 7, 8. Not enough. Not enough. But Strifecro is definitely calculating here. No real reason to kill Harrison Jones. Harrison Jones is actually helping Strifecro now. Because it's an underdog.
So he goes for a full-out play, dealing as much damage as possible here.
Well, clearing Harrison Jones makes sense because then he can maintain the beast and turn it into the 5 damage kill command next turn.
Oh, but Tides of Time draws the second revenge. It's actually
Revenge of Tides of Time. Tides Revenge.
Unfortunately for Tides of Time, like Revenge actually is just strictly worse than Whirlwind's in this game. Especially because Revenge dealt 3 damage to his own Harrison Jones, whereas Whirlwind would have let the Harrison survive.
Alright, Freezing Trap is not great. You can use Hero Power. How much damage? This is 7. 2 damage off. If you will get a beast, that's it. But this is no beast. What can Tides is still looking for? He doesn't have Alexstrasza in his deck. We haven't seen Alexstrasza. He has a Shield Maiden though.
Yeah, it's going to be excellent, especially with a Freezing Trap on the board. Strifecro ran into kind of the similar problem when he was facing Trump, where his Freezing Traps against the Warrior, they were just pretty dead because his opponent just kept using the Freezing Traps to bounce back Shield Maidens. And I think this might just lock out the game, to be honest.
Yeah, Tides of Armor Up is getting lots of armor there. There is a Wolf Rider that's 5 points of damage with Hero Power. 8. Again, not enough. And a Freezing Trap, yeah, the same problems you said. I don't know, man. I don't know, Cav. Doesn't look good for Strifecro.
Yeah, just I mean, even a high main here might not have done too much, but it was certainly his best draw. Oh,
Alright,
man.
I like him with the Shield Maiden first.
Tides of Time actually hovered over the Emperor Thorazin, which was clearly have been a mistake.
Yeah, he's playing fast a bit. Tides of Dragon's Time. Is there lethal next turn? 10 points of damage, he's missing 2, not really able to deal. But he has 14. So maybe into... Basically, Strifecro has what? 2 draws? Huffer. He gets a Huffer. That's not enough, but it's still a lot of damage. If he gets Quick Shot next turn. That's putting Tides of Time to 3 points of health.
But you know, Nefarian might not be good for defensive plays, but you know what Tides of Time can get with Nefarian? A lot of cards that deal damage to his opponent's face. Arcane Shot, Quick Shot, Kill Command, anything would be pretty
Explosive
good.
Trap. So can Nefarian win Tides of Time? The game right now, right here, there's Explosive Trap and what, a Deadly Shot?
Yeah, Deadly Shot. I guess the Explosive Trap is kind of useful.
Explosive Trap is nice. Huffer will not be able to attack, so Strifecro will be there in trouble. Kill Command doesn't... Actually, Kill Command Quick Shot does it. Kill Command and Quick Shot. That's it. Can Strifecro top deck those cards? Pilot Shredder is not it, so I believe that's it. He has to attack with Huffer. He has to take his chances. It might be Snipe. Might be Snake Trap. Even if it's a Freezing Trap, he's still winning this. Only Explosive Trap is killing him. No reason not to attack Strifecro.
He's Strifecro's like bouncing 5 with his fingers because I think that's because he's counting the number of traps that are possible.
All right, so Tides of Explosive Time is winning game number 2. Where Strifecro tying up the series 1-1 with his Dragon Warrior. I love this deck. Monk. I just need to take it and play on a ladder.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting aspects about the deck. We have seen Hyped play a Dragon Warrior, for instance, but Tides of Time is really taking it to the next level, adding cards like Revenge and Volcanic Drake into the mix. I'm not sure how good they are, to be honest, though, because, for example, in this game, playing 2 Revenges instead of Whirlwinds actually hurt Tides of Time. So that just might be something to consider when you're building a Dragon deck, or rather a Dragon Warrior specifically.
Oh yeah, certainly. So now, unfortunately, our score is a bit outdated, but we are having a 1-1, and Strifecro winning with his Handlock, Tides of Time winning with his Warrior. So right now we are going to see Hunter versus Warlock, and this will be the Murloc Warlock versus the Hybrid Hunter.
Yeah, again, this is the deck that from Tides of Time that can either just win a match really quickly or go 0-3. And just judging from these hands, it's probably more likely than not that Strifecro will be winning this match. Like,
yeah, this is really interesting.
Just a great curve overall. Plus, like, all these minions are really great for trading against the board of Tides of Time. Just overall very sticky. Leopardome will be a great turn 1 play. Haunted Creeper will be able to clear so many minions that are 1 health from Tides of Time. And then Eagle Horn Bow, again, just a great weapon to clear everything off.
Wow. I just wanted to say that he needs a Voidwalker right now and really badly to be able to develop this Tidecaller. And he gets it.
Yeah, this deck really seems to be focused around keeping Murloc safe. And we actually haven't seen a Flame Imp, for example, and it actually wouldn't surprise me if Flame Imp is not in this deck.
Yeah, that's true. And Tides of Time decides to play Young Priestess, which actually enables him to make a Voidwalker kind of into there's this Abusive Surgeon now, but if there would be no Abusive Surgeon, Voidwalker could just get buffed to a 1-5. 1-4 is still great. And now playing Abusive Surgeon actually is super awkward, right? It's not on mana. Like, you would normally like to play Haunted Creeper. And Strifecro is going for it.
Yeah, he just probably wants to play on curve more often than not.
Haunted Creeper is representing more damage overall, with those 2 spiders being able to trade into other minions.
Yeah, he's Strifecro is saying, yeah, probably this Voidwalker will trade into my Leopardome, so then I'll be able to Eagle Horn Bow it down and then use the Haunted Creeper to attack a lot of the squishy minions that my opponent can play.
Well, this Murloc deck is able to snowball so much. So here, Strifecro will be able to play either Eagle Horn Bow or Kill Commands. Eagle Horn Bow clearing that Voidwalker, and then attacking the 2-1 with the Creeper, not able to clear the Juggler, and Juggler represents 3 knives because of the Murlocs in hand.
Yeah, exactly, and it'll actually be really relevant with these knives hit. It could actually change the whole landscape of the game. Oh, what a miss! But the Tides of Time has 2 more chances.
He needs to hit one of the spiders. If he hits one of the spiders, oh my god, he missed. He missed, triple miss. He missed all 3 knives. That's terrible. He's losing his Murlocs now and Knife Juggler, I believe. And then there's Silence as well.
So sick.
Yeah, this game with this single turn, 3 knives missing, and now Strifecro having the Silence is turning around into Strifecro's favor heavily.
This is kind of awkward, though. I mean, you might want to play the Silence, but you can clear off pretty much everything but the 1/1 Murloc right now, just with your weapon and the minions alone. And after that, you really don't want to silence anything, so you might just hero power here.
You don't want to face tank that much damage, right? Like, you want to... Or so you're going to attack the Juggler? Because Tides of Time has a lot of burst.
Still, I think you value board control more than the damage to your face, because even though Tides of Time has a lot of bursts like Soulfires and Leroy, a lot of the other bursts like Power Overwhelming kind of depends on your opponent your opponent not having board control essentially. But like you
Yeah.
said, yeah, Strifecro does want to heal for 2 damage to the face, so he essentially turns that that R&B Gal into heal 2 damage.
It's so funny because here also Tides of Time could consider going for face and be Tides of Smork. And with so much burst in hand, kill command the 3-2. Okay, this is decent board, especially coming into the high main on 6. So Tides of Time needs more fish, needs to set up something else. Now the knife from the high main needs to hit the 2-4. It misses. So
Yeah.
Voidwalker just single-handedly contests both of those minions.
Yeah, all the knife juggles in this game have been just overall very terrible.
Oh man, the high main can be actually too slow, too clunky versus this deck's full of small minions. Well, Murloc is not doing much. Soulfire is more burst. That's 14 points of damage here.
There might be a possibility that maybe Tides of Time played that a bit too slow, or a bit too fast rather, because he could have actually gone for Leroy Jenkins into Morocool, one of the drakes, or one of the whelps that Leroy summons.
Oh, right now he can more recoil the free one, so it's not terrible, and he's still far. Wow, double more recoil, just dealing with small minions. He basically needs what, 4 more damage here?
Exactly. He is actually surprisingly he has 14 damage of burst. So,
But a second so far will be dangerous, so he needs like a second power overwhelming. Or maybe some of those minions to survive, because he has 14 points of damage right now in his hand.
oh my god.
Do you trade with that knife juggler?
I don't know. I don't think there's any way you trade here.
By the way, Strifecro is dead. This like whatever you do, I believe this is it. There is 14 points of
exactly.
damage.
I can't
17.
believe this happened.
Yeah, with on the back of his Murloc deck, Tides of Time going to win game number 3 versus Strifecro. Leroy Jenkins, power overwhelming, Soulfire, 17. Well, actually, it's even more. It's 20 points of damage on turn 8. Dot burst.
So yeah, Strifecro doesn't know what hit him. 14
Yeah,
damage
was
burst
clunky.
from the hand. Exactly. Like it even got I think it got 2 hits in on his opponent's face, and it just still wasn't enough. Tides of Time certainly happy with himself for his performance there. And now it will be on to his last deck, which is his his
Hunter
his
with
his
Volcanic
Dragon
Drake.
Hunter.
Yeah, Dragon Hunter. So our players immediately jump to the Hunter game. Dragon midrange against hybrid midrange. And I have no idea which deck is better in this matchup, but it will come to, let's say, a Hunter match.
Yeah, I think the Hybrid Hunter is the more stable deck, but Tides of Time with Volcanic Drake and Unleash the Hounds, it certainly has a lot of potential for some huge comebacks, especially if you combine that with a Knife Juggler on turn 5.
All right, so some exciting times in front of us. What do you think about those mulligans, by the way?
I think you really want cards that are just really sticky early on and are able to develop the board. You also want to curve out really well. So I guess even Abusive Sergeant on turn 1 is a good play to contest Knife Jugglers, to contest Mad Scientist. Hunter Creepers, of course, Mad Scientists, you name it. Those are all good.
So who do you think has an edge?
Well, we'll see from the mulligans. Actually, I think one of the best cards in the matchup is the Glaive Zuka, because it acts like an almost even better Fiery War Axe. The 2 damage versus 3 damage generally isn't really relevant. And from this, Strifecro will just be able to clear pretty much any threats that can come out in the first 2 turns, short of a Haunted Creeper.
There's a high main for Tides of Time, but the Howmaster is really awkward for now. Juggler is great though. So, Animal Companion as well. So Strifecro is having a very good situation. Kill command on Juggler, that doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel good.
Yeah, we saw kind of like a similar situation in a previous game from Tides of Time with this deck, but this deck actually just has so many ways to come back, especially with Night Juggler Unleash and Volcanic Drake. So, you know, miracles can happen still. Especially with this pretty awesome Pilot Destroyer draw that can test the Leok so well.
Both Leok and Glaive actually. So like if Strifecro wants to clear it, it's really tough. He gets an Iron Beak Owl. So maybe with the Owl. Juggler. Yeah, good juggle, 50-50. And sometimes you have to take those risky plays if you want to get ahead.
I wonder.
All right, so is Strifecro going for the juggles and the silence. And now this knife might decide how this match goes on, and he hits. Tides is shaking his head. That was a very powerful juggle right there. But Knife Juggler into Animal Companion is nice as well. If he... oh my god, Leok.
Yeah, just bad RNG rolls either way.
And now Unleash the Hounds into those minions. Buffed by Leok, throwing the juggles. Strifecro has an amazing advantage here. Yep, TidesofTime recognizes the bad situation he is in his Hunter-Hunter matchup, and he concedes. This means that Strifecro and TidesofTime, they are tied. Tides of ties. We are going to have game number 5, Monk.
Yeah, it's going to be Grim Patron Warrior from Strifecro versus the very strange Dragon Hunter from Tides of Time. And I have to give the advantage to Strifecro here. With so many board clears like Whirlwinds, Deathspite, Whirlwinds, and the Unstable Ghoul, it seems pretty easy for Strifecro to deal with a lot of the threats that Tides of Time can bring on in the early game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So let's see how the hands are going to fan out. There is Leper Gnome and Juggler for Tides of Time. Looks pretty good. There is that Houndmaster. Strifecro has Fireworks and Acolyte of Pain. Threading Berserker is not bad as well. So I think kind of even hands, right? Like nobody has a terrible hand that we can see for now.
Exactly. I think Strifecro might struggle to deal with like the Leper Gnomes, for instance. If they get too much damage early on with even like 1 or 2 hits, Strifecro can have a difficult time dealing with them because the Grim Patron Warrior, unlike the Control Warrior, it doesn't have shield blocks and it doesn't have shield maidens or to get life really quickly. The Armor Smiths are okay, but they're slightly more clunky than just a shield block per se.
All right, so what do we see here? Like we see Tides of Time having that pretty good opening, Mad Scientist as well. And what will be his plan? Like his plan will be to kill his opponent before it's Green Patron turn, before Strifecro starts coming out, playing those Whirlwinds. Seeing Fireworks is definitely not good.
The key point about this matchup is that the key turn for Tides of Time is turn 6 with the high main. And the key turns for Strifecro is like turn 8 with the Warsong plus Grim Patron combo. So Tides of Time will certainly have the advantage there because if he can get the high main in, Strifecro might not be able to respond fast enough by turn 6 in which he can get the Grim Patron combos off.
Yeah, that's certainly true. And for now, there are also no Whirlwind effects for Strifecro, so he's not able to easily clear those two. He might be forced to use the Inner Rage, but is it the time, or do you just go for Acolyte of Pain?
I like I guess it really depends on what you think this trap from Tides of Time is. You would have to be thinking like Strifecro definitely like saw the last few matches, but I have like actually no idea what traps that Tides of Time ran. I believe he ran an explosive trap and possibly a freezing trap. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it's like double freezing, 1 explosive. And for players, for viewers who are joining us right now, this is the semi-final, Tides of Time versus Strifecro. The winner is going to advance to the final to face Forsen. The current score is 2-2. This is a tie. This last game, game number 5. And this is pretty exciting. We've seen a lot of dragons. Green Patron versus Volcanic Drake Hunter.
Yeah, so actually I think depending on what trap Strifecro thinks this is, he's going to play slightly differently, because if he thinks this is a freezing trap, I think he'd rather get the Acolyte of Pain on the field in order for it to combo with Whirlwind effects. But if he thinks this is an explosive trap, this can be even more threatening from for Strifecro to have a huge Frothing Berserker come up, for example.
Okay, so now there's a slightly bearable board with Misha. And if this is a freezing, what do you do? I guess you do attack.
I guess you still attack, exactly. Again, Strifecro kind of had a crossroads to consider, depending on what trap that was. If it was an explosive trap, the best play probably would have been to just throw the second Frothing down and trade into the Animal Companion. Whereas if it's freezing, this is obviously better.
Yeah. Wow, with Juggler and that Med Scientist high main being drawn, it looks good for Tides of Time because we were talking about that before, but this kind of warrior, it actually struggles to gain health. So you can snowball into winning. And Tides of Time is a pretty nice board. This warrior, this Green Patron warrior, doesn't have a brawl, doesn't have a shield block. It relies mostly on creating its own board. But right now, it's Tides of Time who is having a board. He has a removal, kill command on turn 5 if he wants to, and that high main is a follow-up on 6. Even with execute, that high main is still creating hyenas. But there is no execute for Strifecro now.
Just developing yet more of a board, forcing his opponent to deal with the board, and just hoping to God that he draws to into some actual ways to deal with these threats.
Oh,
he
wow.
has an unstable ghoul at least, but oh man, Tides of Time with a double kill command in his hand. Not only that, he has a high main. This is looking kind of grim for Strifecro because he hasn't drawn to any of his armor smiths yet.
Oh yeah, and right now we are staring at 9 plus 7. 16 points of damage this turn. Using kill command because there is a beast on board and you have the mana to do this. Oh, he's even filtering his deck and getting a secret. Putting Strifecro on 9. This is dire straits for Strifecro.
I think even more important there than filtering through the secret was that he got rid of the 3-2, which would have contested the Misha from Tides of Time. So just more important to keep as much of his board alive as possible. Make it very awkward for his opponent to deal with this board.
All right, so what can Strifecro do here? This is really difficult. There is a Taskmaster. So potentially, if he plays Warsong, this is going to get frozen. Oh, wow. This is explosive trap.
Yeah, we do know that Tides of Time at least runs one explosive trap and at least one freezing trap, so we're not really sure otherwise. The benefit, like Strifecro here, the problem is that he can fairly easily deal with this board, but the real question is, can he deal with the high main that follows it up?
All right, Strifecro is not out yet. He has the taunt set up, and there is a Leper Gnome. So Hyman is getting dropped, and still Explosive Trap. You know, Explosive Trap is also troublesome because that's 2 more points of damage. Not really able to deal with the Hyman right now.
Yeah, no real answers. So I think Strifecro actually just has to Battle Rage here.
Yeah, Battle Rage for an Execute maybe.
Battle Rage. Maybe his best draw here is Dread Corsair. But I believe that's not it.
So I guess another Battle Rage?
So yeah, he needs the Battle Rage again, and then draw into both Fire War Axe and a Dread Corsair.
Is Slam doing anything? Not really, so it seems like there is nothing to deal with this high main.
Well, hold on. Slam into Execute
yeah,
would
Slam into
deal
Execute
with the high main, and he'd only have a 2 attack creature on the field, plus 7 damage from hand. That wouldn't be lethal yet. So he just needs to go for that Slam right now.
Yeah, but if Slam misses Execute, if it's not an Execute, like Slam into Inner Rage clears the high main, I guess. Armorsmith is not it, so this means there is no way to kill the high main anymore, and Tides of Time is going to take the series with kill command, high main attack, not even using the hero power. What a series between those Cloud9 players. Tides of Time advancing to the final to face Forsen with his Dragon decks and the Murloc Warlock. Strifecro coming really close again to getting to the final, but not really. Something was missing there.
Yeah, just really exciting play from Tides of Time, bringing some really amazing decks. And you know, Tides of Time, even though he was out of the scene for a while, and you might call it that he was in a slump, he wasn't really in a slump in the sense that he was only out of the scene and he wasn't actually like going to tournaments, competing at LANs, competing in online tournaments and failing at them. Just rather, he just took a simple break and he came back as strong as ever.
Oh yeah. All right, Monk. I'm almost ready for the final, but I think we lost our production manager right now, who is not updating the score. So we are going to go into the short break right now and set up the final for you guys. Forsen versus Tides of Time coming up soon. Give us some time though. We are going to get back after the break. Don't go anywhere. Tell your friends. Forsen versus Tides of Time. Cloud9 versus Forsen boys. Coming up soon.